Imagine a life where nothing could shake you, where the words of others, no matter how harsh, just rolled off your back like water off a duck. Picture yourself standing tall and calm in the face of life's storms, your mind a fortress of peace. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, what if I told you there's a way to make this your reality? A simple yet powerful technique that can free your mind and keep you from being triggered, no matter what life throws at you. This isn't just another self-help gimmick or a quick fix. It's a fundamental shift in how you interact with your thoughts and emotions. A shift that can change everything about how you experience life. Whether you're dealing with stress at work, relationship troubles, or just the everyday annoyances that pile up and wear you down, this technique can be your key to lasting inner peace. Now, you might be thinking, I've heard all this before. What makes this different? Well, the beauty of this technique lies in its simplicity. You don't need any special tools or years of practice. You don't need to change your lifestyle or beliefs. All you need is your mind and a willingness to try something new. And the best part? You can start using it right now, today, to improve your life. We all know how it feels to be triggered. That sudden rush of emotion that floods your body when someone says just the wrong thing. The way your heart races and your palms sweat when you're faced with a situation that pushes your buttons. It's like a switch gets flipped in your brain, and suddenly you're not in control anymore. Your emotions are in the driver's seat, and you're just along for the ride. Maybe it's a coworker who always seems to know how to get under your skin, or a family member who brings up old hurts every time you see them. It could be something as simple as getting stuck in traffic when you're already running late. Whatever it is, we all have our triggers. And when they're activated, it can feel like our whole day, or even our whole life, is derailed. Being triggered isn't just unpleasant in the moment. It can have lasting effects on our relationships, our work, and our overall well-being. When we're constantly reacting to triggers, we're not living our lives, we're just responding to stimuli. We miss out on the joy and peace that could be ours if we weren't so caught up in our emotional reactions. Think about the last time you were triggered. How did it affect your day? Did you snap at someone you care about? Did you make a decision you later regretted? Did you spend hours replaying the situation in your mind, wishing you had responded differently? These are the real costs of being at the mercy of our triggers. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to be a prisoner to your emotional reactions. There is a way to break free from this cycle, to respond to life's challenges with calm and clarity instead of knee-jerk reactions. And that's where this life-changing technique comes in. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sure, it sounds great, but what is this magical technique? Well, I'm not going to give away all the details just yet, but I will tell you this. It's a method that can help you stay calm and centered in any situation. It's a way to create space between you and your thoughts, so you're not just reacting on autopilot. Imagine being able to pause, even for just a moment, before responding to something that would normally set you off. Picture yourself observing your thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. Think about how different your life could be if you could choose your reactions instead of being at the mercy of your triggers. This technique isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about developing a new relationship with your thoughts and feelings. It's about gaining the power to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. And the best part? It's something anyone can learn and apply in their daily life. I've seen this technique work wonders in my own life and in the lives of countless others. People who are constantly stressed and anxious have found a sense of peace they never thought possible. Relationships that were on the brink of falling apart have been saved. Individuals who felt stuck in negative patterns have broken free and discovered new levels of success and happiness. But don't just take my word for it. As we dive deeper into this technique, I encourage you to keep an open mind. Try it out for yourself. See how it feels to approach life's challenges from this new perspective. You might be surprised at how quickly you start to see changes in your life. Remember, this isn't about becoming a perfect, unflappable person who never experiences negative emotions. That's not realistic or even desirable. This is about developing the skills to navigate those emotions in a healthier way. It's about freeing yourself from the tyranny of your triggers and reclaiming control over your mental and emotional state. So, are you ready to discover this life-changing technique? Are you prepared to take the first step towards true mental freedom? If so, keep reading. What you're about to learn could be the key to unlocking a level of peace and well-being you've only dreamed of. Let's embark on this journey together and explore the incredible power of a truly free mind. Before we dive into the technique itself, it's important to understand why we get triggered in the first place. At its core, being triggered is a survival mechanism. Our brains are wired to react quickly to potential threats, a trait that served our ancestors well when they were facing physical dangers on a daily basis. But in our modern world, this same mechanism can cause more harm than good. We're not often facing life or death situations, but our brains can't always tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a rude comment from a stranger. Both can trigger that same fight or flight response, flooding our bodies with stress hormones and putting us on high alert. The problem is, we've developed habits of reacting to these perceived threats in ways that often don't serve us well. We lash out in anger, we withdraw in fear, or we ruminate endlessly on perceived slights. These reactions might have once helped keep us safe, but now they often just keep us stuck in cycles of negativity and stress. Think about it. How many times have you regretted your reaction to something after the fact? How often have you wished you could take back words spoken in the heat of the moment? These are the consequences of letting our triggers control us. But there's good news. We can learn to interrupt this automatic process. We can train our minds to respond differently. This is where our technique comes in. At its heart, it's about creating a pause between stimulus and response. It's about giving yourself the space to choose how you want to react, rather than letting your triggers dictate your behavior. Now, this might sound simple, and in a way it is, but don't mistake simplicity for lack of power. This small pause, this moment of awareness, can be transformative. It's the difference between being a puppet controlled by your emotions and being the puppeteer, consciously choosing your actions. Imagine you're in a heated argument with a loved one. They say something that pushes your buttons, and you feel that familiar surge of anger rising. Normally, you might lash out, saying something hurtful that you'll later regret. But what if in that moment you could pause? What if you could take a breath, become aware of your emotional state, and choose a different response? This is the power of our technique. It's not about never feeling angry or hurt or scared. It's about developing the ability to feel those emotions without being controlled by them. It's about creating space between what happens to you and how you respond to it. The first step in this technique is cultivating awareness. This means learning to pay attention to your thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. It's about becoming an observer of your own mind. Start by simply noticing when you're triggered. What does it feel like in your body? What thoughts run through your mind? Don't try to change anything at first. Just observe. This might sound easy, but it can be surprisingly challenging. We're so used to immediately reacting that simply noticing our reactions can feel strange at first. Practice this awareness throughout your day. When you feel yourself getting annoyed in traffic, pause and notice the sensation. When a coworker says something that irks you, take a moment to observe your reaction. Don't judge yourself for having these reactions. Just notice them. As you practice this awareness, you might start to notice patterns. Maybe certain types of situations always seem to trigger you. Or perhaps you'll notice that your triggers are often connected to deeper fears or insecurities. This awareness is valuable in itself. It's the first step towards breaking free from automatic reactions. Once you've started to cultivate awareness, the next step is to use your breath as an anchor. When you notice yourself being triggered, take a deep breath. This might sound too simple to be effective, but don't underestimate the power of the breath. Deep breathing has a physiological effect on your body. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which helps to calm your fight or flight response. It gives your mind a moment to settle, creating that crucial pause between stimulus and response. Try this. The next time you feel yourself getting triggered, take a slow, deep breath. Inhale for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Then exhale for a count of 4. Do this a few times. Notice how it affects your emotional state. You might find that just this simple act of mindful breathing can significantly reduce the intensity of your reaction. As you become more aware of your triggers and learn to use your breath to create a pause, the next step is to practice changing your perspective. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to be happy about things that upset you. It's about learning to see situations from different angles. When you're triggered, your mind tends to narrow its focus. You see only the thing that's upsetting you, and your thoughts spiral around it. But what if you could zoom out? What if you could see the bigger picture? Here's a practice to try. The next time you're triggered, after you've taken a few deep breaths, ask yourself some questions. What else might be true about this situation? What might I be missing? How else could I interpret what's happening? For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, your immediate reaction might be anger. You might think, what a jerk. They're so inconsiderate. But what if you considered other possibilities? Maybe they're rushing to the hospital. Maybe they're having a really bad day and made a mistake. Maybe they simply didn't see you. This doesn't mean you have to be happy about being cut off. But considering these other possibilities can help reduce the intensity of your reaction. It can help you respond from a place of understanding rather than anger. As you practice awareness, breathing, and changing your perspective, you'll start to realize something profound. You have a choice in how you respond to situations. This realization is incredibly empowering. It means you're no longer at the mercy of your triggers. You're no longer a passive recipient of life's events, but an active participant in shaping your experience. This doesn't mean you'll never get upset or angry again. Emotions are a natural part of the human experience, and it's not about suppressing them. It's about choosing how to express and act on them. It's about responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Imagine you're in a disagreement with a friend. In the past, you might have gotten defensive and said things you later regretted. But now, with this new technique, you have options. You can take a breath, consider different perspectives, and choose a response that aligns with your values and long-term goals. Maybe you choose to listen more deeply to understand their point of view. Maybe you choose to express your feelings calmly and clearly. Or maybe you choose to take a break from the conversation to gather your thoughts. The key is that you're making a choice, rather than being driven by automatic reactions. This is true freedom, the freedom to choose your response in any situation. Now, it's important to understand that this technique isn't something you master overnight. It's a skill that you develop over time through consistent practice. The good news is that life gives us plenty of opportunities to practice. Start with small triggers in your daily life. Maybe it's the frustration you feel when you're running late, or the annoyance when your partner leaves dishes in the sink. Use these everyday irritations as opportunities to practice awareness, breathing, and changing your perspective. As you get more comfortable with the technique, you can start applying it to bigger triggers. Maybe it's a difficult conversation with a family member or a stressful situation at work. Remember, the goal isn't to never feel triggered. It's to develop the ability to handle your triggers in a healthier, more constructive way. It's also important to be patient and kind with yourself as you learn this technique. There will be times when you forget to use it, or when you use it but still react in ways you later regret. That's okay. Every time you practice, even if it doesn't go perfectly, you're strengthening new neural pathways in your brain. You're gradually rewiring your automatic responses. As you continue to practice this technique, you might start to notice changes that go beyond just handling triggers better. Many people find that this practice leads to a greater sense of overall calm and well-being in their lives. When you're not constantly at the mercy of your triggers, you have more mental and emotional energy for other things. You might find yourself more present in your relationships, more focused at work, more creative in your hobbies. You might sleep better at night, freed from the endless replay of stressful interactions. Moreover, as you change your reactions, you might notice changes in your relationships. When you respond to others with more calm and understanding, they're likely to do the same in return. This can create a positive cycle where your improved responses lead to better interactions, which in turn make it easier to respond well. This technique can also help you in pursuing your goals and dreams. When you're not held back by fear of criticism or fear of failure, common triggers for many people, you're more likely to take risks and put yourself out there. You become more resilient in the face of setbacks, seeing them as opportunities for growth rather than reasons to give up. One of the most profound benefits of this technique is the journey of self-discovery it takes you on. As you become more aware of your triggers and reactions, you start to understand yourself on a deeper level. You might uncover beliefs or fears that have been driving your behavior without you even realizing it. Maybe you discover that your tendency to lash out in anger actually stems from a deep-seated fear of rejection. Or perhaps you realize that your habit of people-pleasing comes from a belief that you're not worthy of love unless you're perfect. This self-knowledge is incredibly valuable. It allows you to address the root causes of your triggers, rather than just managing the symptoms. It opens up possibilities for profound personal growth and transformation. Moreover, as you practice responding to triggers with awareness and intention, you're likely to discover strengths you didn't know you had. You might find reserves of patience, compassion, or courage that surprise you. You might discover a resilience that allows you to face challenges you once thought impossible. This journey of self-discovery can be both challenging and rewarding. It requires honesty and courage to look at yourself deeply. But the rewards, greater self-understanding, improved relationships, and a more fulfilling life are well worth the effort. As you continue to practice this technique, you might find that it becomes more than just a tool for handling triggers. It can evolve into a new way of being in the world, a way of living with greater awareness, intention, and peace. Imagine moving through your day with a sense of calm, centeredness, regardless of what's happening around you. Picture yourself facing life's challenges with clarity and resilience, rather than stress and reactivity. Envision your relationships characterized by understanding and compassion, even in moments of disagreement. This is the potential of this technique. It's not just about avoiding negative reactions. It's about cultivating a positive, empowered approach to life. It's about becoming the author of your own experience, rather than feeling like a victim of circumstances. And the beautiful thing is this potential is available to everyone. It doesn't matter your age, background, or life circumstances. If you have a mind, and you do, you can learn and benefit from this technique. So, are you ready to take the next step on this journey? Are you prepared to learn the details of this technique and start applying it in your life? Remember, the power to change your experience of life is within you. It's simply a matter of learning how to access and use that power. In the next section, we'll dive deep into the specifics of this technique. We'll explore step by step how to implement it in your daily life, how to overcome common challenges, and how to make it a natural part of your way of being. Get ready to embark on a journey that could change everything about how you experience life. The path to true mental freedom starts here. Now that we've laid the groundwork, let's dive into the heart of this transformative technique. Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Every time you practice, you're building new neural pathways in your brain, creating habits that will serve you well in the long run. The first step is to catch yourself in the act of being triggered. This might sound easy, but it's often the trickiest part. We're so used to our automatic reactions that they can feel like an unstoppable force. But here's the truth. There's always a split second between the trigger and your reaction. Your job is to expand that split second into a moment of choice. Start by paying attention to your body. When you're triggered, your body reacts before your conscious mind catches up. You might notice your heart racing, your muscles tensing, or a knot forming in your stomach. These physical sensations are your early warning system. They're telling you, hey, we're about to react. Once you've caught that initial moment, it's time to pause. Take a deep breath. This isn't just about getting more oxygen, although that helps. It's about creating space. Space between the trigger and your reaction. Space for you to choose how to respond. As you breathe, try to name what you're feeling. Are you angry? Scared? Hurt? Frustrated? Naming your emotions helps to create a bit of distance between you and the feeling. It's the difference between "I am angry" and "I'm noticing that I'm feeling angry." This small shift can make a big difference in how you handle the situation. Now, here's where the real magic happens. Instead of letting your initial reaction take over, ask yourself a question. What do I really want in this situation? This question is powerful because it shifts your focus from the immediate trigger to your deeper values and goals. Maybe what you really want is to maintain a good relationship with the person who triggered you. Or perhaps you want to stay true to your values of kindness and understanding. Maybe you simply want to keep your peace of mind. Whatever it is, connecting with what you truly want can help guide your response. From this place of awareness, you can choose how to respond. Maybe you decide to have a calm conversation about what upset you. Perhaps you choose to take some time to cool off before addressing the issue. Or maybe you realize that the trigger isn't worth your energy and you let it go. Remember, choosing your response doesn't mean you never express difficult emotions. Sometimes, the most appropriate response is to express your anger or hurt. The key is that you're doing it consciously in a way that aligns with your values and goals, rather than as an automatic reaction. As you start practicing this technique, you're likely to run into some challenges. That's normal and expected. Let's address some of the most common ones and how to overcome them. One of the biggest challenges is simply remembering to use the technique in the heat of the moment. It's easy to remember when you're calm, but when you're actually triggered, your old habits can take over. The key here is consistency. The more you practice in small, low-stakes situations, the more natural it will become to use the technique when bigger triggers arise. Try setting reminders for yourself throughout the day to check in with your emotions. You could put sticky notes in places you'll see them, set alarms on your phone, or associate the practice with something you do regularly, like stopping at red lights or taking a sip of water. Another common challenge is feeling like you don't have time to pause and breathe when you're triggered. Life moves fast, and sometimes it feels like we need to react immediately. But here's the thing. Taking a breath doesn't actually take any measurable amount of time. It's so quick that no one will even notice you're doing it. And that tiny pause can make the difference between a reaction you regret and a response you're proud of. Some people find that when they start paying more attention to their triggers, they actually feel worse at first. They become hyper-aware of how often they get upset or how intense their reactions are. If this happens to you, remember, awareness is the first step to change. You're not creating new problems. You're just becoming aware of patterns that were always there. This awareness, although uncomfortable at first, is ultimately empowering because it gives you the opportunity to change. You might also encounter resistance from others as you change your reactions. People in your life might be used to your old patterns and find your new responses unsettling. They might even try to provoke your old reactions. If this happens, remember that you're not responsible for other people's behavior. Stay committed to your practice, and over time, others will adjust to your new way of being. Lastly, don't expect perfection. There will be times when you forget to use the technique, or when you use it but still don't respond in the way you'd like. That's okay. Every time you practice, even imperfectly, you're making progress. Be patient and kind with yourself as you learn and grow. As you continue to practice this technique, you'll likely start to notice changes that go far beyond just handling triggers better. This is where the real magic happens, when the practice starts to transform your entire experience of life. One of the first things many people notice is a general sense of increased calm. When you're not constantly at the mercy of your triggers, life feels less chaotic. You might find yourself feeling more centered and grounded, even in situations that would have stressed you out before. This increased calm often leads to better decision-making. When you're not reacting from a place of stress or anger, you're able to see situations more clearly. You might find yourself making choices that better align with your long-term goals and values, rather than just reacting to the emotion of the moment. Your relationships may start to improve as well. When you're responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively, your interactions with others become more positive. You might find yourself having fewer conflicts, or resolving disagreements more easily when they do arise. People may start to see you as a calming presence, someone they can turn to in times of stress. At work, you might notice increased productivity and creativity. When you're not wasting mental energy on emotional reactions, you have more resources available for problem solving and innovation. You might find it easier to focus, to think outside the box, and to collaborate effectively with others. Your physical health might improve too. Chronic stress takes a toll on the body, and by reducing your stress reactions, you're doing your health a favor. Many people report sleeping better, having more energy, and even experiencing fewer stress-related health issues as they master this technique. Perhaps most profoundly, you might experience a shift in your overall sense of well-being and happiness. When you're not constantly knocked off balance by triggers, you're more able to appreciate the good things in your life. You might find yourself feeling more gratitude, more joy, and a deeper sense of contentment. This doesn't mean you'll never face challenges or feel negative emotions. Life will always have its ups and downs, but with this technique, you'll have the tools to navigate those challenges more effectively. You'll be able to experience the full range of human emotions without being controlled by them. As these changes ripple out into your life, you might find yourself inspired to grow in other ways. Maybe you'll feel empowered to pursue goals you've been putting off. Or perhaps you'll be inspired to deepen your understanding of yourself through other practices like meditation or journaling. Remember, these changes don't happen overnight. They're the result of consistent practice over time. But with patience and persistence, you may find that this simple technique truly does change everything. It has the power to transform not just how you handle triggers, but how you experience life itself. Now that we've explored the technique and its potential impacts, let's dive into how you can apply it in your everyday life. The beauty of this method is its versatility. It can be used in almost any situation where you find yourself triggered or emotionally reactive. Let's start with work scenarios. Imagine you're in a meeting and a colleague criticizes your idea in front of everyone. Normally, you might feel a rush of anger or embarrassment, leading you to either lash out or withdraw. But with this technique, you can pause, take a breath, and choose a more constructive response. Maybe you decide to ask for more specific feedback or to calmly explain your reasoning. By responding thoughtfully rather than reacting emotionally, you maintain your professionalism and potentially turn a negative interaction into a productive discussion. In your personal relationships, this technique can be a game changer. Picture a heated argument with your partner. Instead of getting caught up in a cycle of blame and defensiveness, you can use the technique to create space for understanding. When you feel triggered by something they say, pause and breathe. Ask yourself what you really want from this interaction. Is it to prove you're right, or to find a solution that works for both of you? This shift in perspective can completely change the tone of your conversations. Even in everyday annoyances like traffic jams or long lines at the store, this technique can help you maintain your peace of mind. Instead of letting frustration build, you can use these moments as opportunities to practice. Take a breath, notice your feelings of impatience, and choose to respond with calm acceptance rather than anger. Parents often find this technique particularly helpful. When your child is having a tantrum or acting out, it's easy to get triggered and react with anger or frustration. But by using this method to stay calm and centered, you're better able to respond in a way that addresses your child's needs while also teaching them emotional regulation by example. Remember, the goal isn't to never feel negative emotions. It's to handle them in a way that's constructive rather than destructive. By consistently applying this technique in your daily life, you're not just solving individual problems. You're cultivating a new way of being that can transform your entire experience of life. As you become more comfortable with the basic technique, there are ways you can deepen your practice and make it even more effective. One powerful addition is to incorporate mindfulness into your daily routine. This could be through formal meditation or simply by taking a few minutes each day to sit quietly and observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Regular mindfulness practice strengthens your ability to catch yourself in the moment when you're triggered. It's like working out a muscle. The more you practice being aware of your thoughts and feelings when you're calm, the easier it becomes to maintain that awareness in challenging situations. Another way to deepen your practice is to keep a trigger journal. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to write down situations where you felt triggered. Know what happened, how you felt, and how you responded. Over time, you'll start to see patterns in your triggers and reactions. This self-knowledge is invaluable in your journey towards emotional freedom. You might also consider exploring the underlying beliefs that contribute to your triggers. Often, our automatic reactions are based on deep-seated beliefs about ourselves and the world. For example, if you often feel triggered by criticism, you might hold a belief that you need to be perfect to be worthy of love. By identifying and questioning these underlying beliefs, you can start to loosen their hold on you. Remember, this is a lifelong journey. There's always room to grow and deepen your practice. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your progress along the way. As you experience the benefits of this technique in your own life, you might feel inspired to share it with others. This can be a beautiful way to spread positivity and help those around you. However, it's important to approach this sharing with sensitivity and respect. First and foremost, lead by example. As you become calmer and more centered in your daily life, people are likely to notice and ask what your secret is. This natural curiosity provides an organic opportunity to share the technique. When explaining the method to others, keep it simple. You might say something like, "I've been practicing a technique that helps me respond to stressful situations more calmly." It's all about pausing and choosing how to respond instead of reacting automatically. If someone seems interested, you could offer to guide them through the process the next time they feel triggered. Remember, though, that you can't force anyone to change. The most powerful thing you can do is to embody the change yourself and be there to support others if they choose to try it. In your relationships, you might suggest using the technique together. For example, you and your partner could agree to take a breath and check in with yourselves when discussions get heated. This shared commitment can greatly improve communication and understanding. If you're a parent, you can adapt the technique to teach emotional regulation to your children. Help them identify their feelings and learn to take a pause before reacting. This is a valuable life skill that will serve them well into adulthood. In a work setting, if you're in a leadership position, you might consider introducing the concept in team meetings or workshops. Frame it as a tool for better communication and stress management. Remember to respect that different techniques work for different people and offer it as an option rather than a requirement. As you share this technique, you're not just helping individuals. You're contributing to a more emotionally intelligent and compassionate society. Every person who learns to respond rather than react creates a ripple effect of positive change in their community. As we wrap up our exploration of this powerful technique, let's take a moment to reflect on the journey we've undertaken. We started by recognizing the impact that being triggered can have on our lives, the stress, the damaged relationships, the missed opportunities. We then discovered a simple yet profound technique for creating space between stimulus and response, allowing us to choose our reactions rather than be controlled by them. We've explored how to implement this technique in various aspects of life, from work situations to personal relationships. We've discussed ways to deepen the practice and overcome common challenges. And we've seen how this seemingly small change in how we handle our triggers can lead to a profound transformation in our overall experience of life. Remember, this isn't about achieving perfection. It's about progress. Every time you catch yourself before reacting, every time you take that crucial pause, you're rewiring your brain and creating new habits. You're choosing freedom over automation, consciousness over unconsciousness. As you continue to practice this technique, you may find that it becomes more than just a tool for handling difficult situations. It can evolve into a new way of being in the world, more aware, more intentional, more at peace. You may discover a sense of inner freedom that you never knew was possible. This journey of self-discovery and personal growth is ongoing. There will always be new triggers to face, new challenges to overcome. But with this technique, you have a powerful tool in your arsenal. You have the ability to face life's ups and downs with grace and equanimity. So, as you go forward from here, carry this technique with you. Use it in moments of stress and moments of calm. Share it with others if you feel called to do so. And remember, every time you choose to respond rather than react, you're not just changing your own life. You're contributing to a more conscious, compassionate world. You have within you the power to break free from the tyranny of your triggers. You have the ability to choose your responses and shape your experience of life. This technique is the key to unlocking that power. Use it well, and watch as it transforms not just how you handle difficult moments, but how you experience life itself. Your journey to true mental freedom starts now. Embrace it, practice it, live it. The power to change everything is in your hands. Go forth and create the life you've always dreamed of, one mindful moment at a time.